Welcome, everybody. Joe Tarnowski with ECRM, and I have with me today Scott Wasser, the founder and CEO of FreeStylus, which is a really innovative solution, especially in this day and age when everybody is worried about bacteria and viruses on public surfaces. So we're going to talk a little bit about that and how it can be used at retail. And Scott was also a participant in our recent merchandising solutions sessions. So, Scott, thank you so much for joining us. And to start off, tell us about the FreeStylus and why you came up with the idea.
Absolutely, and thanks for having me. So my last 15 years of my career, I spent in the payment technology space. Mm-hmm. So I'm kind of a payments nerd, really have been focused in on the consumer checkout experience for most of my career. So naturally, whatever it is that I'm doing, whether I'm shopping at the grocery store, or going to a ball game, or going to the restaurant with my wife on a date, I'm always drawn to the payment experience, to what point of sale they're using, and that whole system. And in the middle of 2020, in this crazy year that it was, I was doing all the grocery shopping. My wife was actually pregnant with our second daughter, and I was doing all the grocery shopping because we didn't really know at that time how COVID would have an impact on the pregnant mother and the unborn child. Mm-hmm. So I'm doing all the grocery shopping. So I'm in the grocery store. I'm wearing my mask. There's plexiglass going up left and right. There's stickers on the ground telling us to stay 6 feet apart, right? All of these good practices to remind us about social distancing. But one of the things that really kind of like seemed glaringly weird to me was when I'm going to the checkout, we're all being funneled through that same exact touch point. So everyone I just social distance with, we're all now interacting with the same surfaces in the self-checkout kiosk and the payment reader. And then also what was weird is that there seemed to be an acknowledgement that there's a problem here because the payment readers now had cling wrap all over them, right? I'm sure you've seen that.
Yep.
And I'm looking at this, I'm like, okay, so something's going on here. There's a recognition that, you know, these devices are a vector for spreading harmful pathogens and disease, but the solution has to be better than cling wrap, right? So I'm thinking through this, I'm noodling on it. I'm like, there's got to be some way that we can provide a simple, touch-free way for people to be able to interact with these surfaces without, having to come in contact with them directly. So that's kind of where this all started. I was noodling on it, and coming from a technology background, my initial inclination is thinking, for a high-tech solve. Mm-hmm. And there's plenty of high-tech solves out there. Yeah. There's tap to pay, that's increasing, right? But it's not just the payment, it's also the self-checkout kiosk. There's been a huge movement towards, self-checkout kiosks and, being able to, you see grocery stores just renovating this, all of their checkout towards being a self-manned process there, right? So you need to have a solution for that system as well. I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, how can we come up with something that is really simple? Because one of the problems that whenever you go towards a high-tech solution for a solve, whether that be like scanning a QR code and maybe doing checkout on your phone, you're kind of excluding a pretty large population that isn't really comfortable with that technology. And oh, by the way, that the population that's most at risk to the virus happens to be the most concerned with new technology and going towards using their smartphone, right? So the question I ask myself is, if grandma isn't going to scan a QR code and use this tech, and grandma's the most at risk for this virus, then really what are we doing, right? Yep. So I set out on this goal to come up with something that was really low tech, really simple, to be able to provide a touch-free experience. And it led me down this path towards a disposable stylus that could be dispensed at these various locations through a touch-free dispenser. So what I have here is also this dispenser that operates just like a motion sense paper towel dispenser. Mm-hmm. You just wave your hand in front of it. Stylus drops out into the tray. You can take that without ever having touched anything. Use it whether you're touching away on the touch screen for the for the self-checkout kiosk or on signing on the PIN pad or even entering in your PIN number, or if it prompts you for any other prompts like your phone number or 17 cents to round up for charity, right?
Yep. Yeah, so that's interesting. One, I love simple solutions. I mean, simple to me, innovation can be simple. And the thing is, like, if I go to a local drugstore by me and use the self checkout, which I always do, you have the touch screen, which everybody's touching, and you can't rely on everybody to clean. You know, they may have hand sanitizer there. You can't rely on or expect everybody to actually use it. And then you have the keypad. So your solution can be used for both of those, or at all of the restaurants and bagel shops and bars in my neighborhood. They'll usually have the touch screens where they use one end and then they flip it over and you use the other end. Yeah, and it's so many people are using it. So something like this really addresses that. So the stylus itself, what is it made of, and can it be branded?
Yes. So the stylus itself is, as you can see, it's a paper stylus.
Okay.
Okay. So what I've actually done is I've worked with a straw manufacturer, and I've shortened the paper straw length down to about 4 inches here. We've added a silicone tip to the end of it, and then there's some magic on the inside that allows it to work with all touchscreens and makes it capacitive. Okay. It is brandable. You see that we have our logo on there, but we have a various range of options for customizing this, putting your own logo on it, changing the color of it. One of the biggest examples that we have of that we did in scale recently, we started selling this in October. So I kind of came up with this idea in May, worked through production, producing the dispenser, ran as fast as we could, had something to actually go to market with in October, just in time for the election. So we actually had 7 states participate in buying this for the general election, and about 7 million Americans used it to vote. And we took the I voted sticker artwork and turned that into an I voted stylus that voters were given at the precinct whenever they were going in to vote, so they could use it on the touchscreen voting systems like Dominion and Hart and ESS, right? So we did that in scale. About 7 million Americans, like I said, used it to vote this past general election.
Wow, so that's pretty cool. So they got a little takeaway they can bring home with them, and then they're recyclable. And do you have like some sort of a program to what happens with them after somebody uses it if they don't keep it? Because I would imagine some people will probably keep them to use with their phones and stuff or their tablets, because it's normally you have to buy one of those.
Exactly. So what we are seeing is about like 70 to 75% of people actually keep them rather than tossing them. And it is recyclable in a sense that we have a recycling program. So we have a closed loop program because silicone in itself is not recyclable. So we have we have a program where you can set up a box where the stylus can be collected, shipped back to a central location where we will dismantle the stylus. The silicone is basically melted down, put back into production, and the paper tube is recycled. For the most part, we don't see many people taking advantage of that because the brandability aspect of it and being able to put your logo or having someone maybe sponsor and put their logo onto the item is seen as a really nice value add for this solution. Because, in addition to, we talked earlier about it being a simple touch-free solution. You mentioned hand sanitizer and some of these abrasive cleaners. Those things hurt technology. Like if you're spraying, and I'm sure that anyone that's out there in operations knows exactly what I'm talking about. When you're spraying, sanitizer into PIN pads or onto your self-checkout kiosk, you're going to be going through hardware pretty quick. So having this be a really nice, simple solution that's nice on the technology, that's an option, but and it makes it a really nice value add. But in addition to all of that, you've now got a brandable item that people are going to be taking, interacting with, maybe putting in their pocket, putting in their purse, and taking with them and using repeatedly later.
Because you could use it on any of these things, like a iPhone or a tablet or a Surface, a Microsoft Surface. So So there are a lot of uses for it outside of that. So
Right.
and with the branding on it, it's just that's just an added benefit. So
Exactly.
the unit itself that could be displayed at the point of sale, right at the register, and then it holds what I think 450 of them.
Exactly right. Yep.
Okay.
So there's a lot of mounting options on the back of it. So we have a
Hmm.
lot of flexibility. It was designed by. I worked very closely with folks in the vending and the kiosk space.
Hmm.
So it has a lot of mounting options. So it can be mounted to a wall. It has threaded inserts on the back, so you can mount it to a kiosk. Got threaded inserts on the bottom, so you can mount it to a stand. And then it's also got rubber feet that it comes with. So if you just wanted to put it right on the countertop, and if you see the video that we've put together of an example of it in my barber shop, you'll see that we just have it sitting right there on the countertop. It sits right next to a square tablet, and it's it's a nice footprint.
Is that your actual barbershop?
It is, yeah. It's right down the street from me.
I bet you all the restaurants in your area have it too, right?
Yeah, quite a few.
So that's cool. And you're also using this. You have them at some healthcare facilities, I believe.
That's correct. Yeah, we're about at 180 Humana locations right now, and we're working with dialysis clinics, which is really cool. You talked earlier about this being a COVID solution. That's really where the idea kind of evolved from, right? But I see it as a potential item beyond COVID, especially in healthcare, for sure.
Yeah.
Because you got the most immunocompromised people that in these healthcare clinics, they're trying to go digital. They're trying to have less paper. They're trying to have patients sign in on tablets and fill out their forms on tablets and sign.
Yep.
So the dialysis clinics and oncology centers and folks like that really see this as a nice option to prevent people from touching those publicly shared screens.
Well, just everybody's awareness of bacteria and viruses is just so much more, and that's not going to go away. We are going to be a lot more cognizant of what we touch just going forward all the time. So this is a very timely solution, and that need is going to be there. So
exactly, like in 2018, I don't know if you recall, in 2018 there was a report that came out about some kiosks that they did a study on in a popular fast food chain, and 86% of the kiosks that they tested positive for fecal matter. Right?
Oh no!
But these are surfaces. This was in 2018, right?
Yeah.
And these are surfaces where personally, I was not a germaphobe. Before a lot of people probably
after that study you were.
But yeah, but like you're going and you're ordering your food. You're getting your food and you're sitting down and eating it. You're not thinking like, I just ordered here, I'm going to go to the restroom and wash my hands. Right? Most people, I would say, wouldn't think that way. But now in 2020, like in 2018, that report kind of like went a little bit quietly under the radar. But in 2020, not any longer. Like everyone's aware now. Everyone's awake. Like, hey, we've got a problem here and we need to address it.
And just how many germs are on these surfaces. I mean, I heard a similar study where they talked about phones and phone screens and how many of them, what kind of bacteria is on them. And it's easy to transfer. If you're using your phone all the time, the material's on there, use the touch screen, it's going to go there and everywhere else, and it just, radiates out from there. So
there's another report on in airports about the kiosks in airports for self-check-in and things like that, printing your boarding pass. They tested those. They had 1,500 times the amount of bacteria, colony-forming bacteria, as your average public toilet seat.
Wow.
And we're in airports right now. We're in 9 major airports in the U.S. today.
Okay, and now it's time for you to enter retail and food service. So that brings us to the merchandising solution session. How is, I know virtual programs are new to a lot of people, and this is all new to you. You just came up with this product last year, so this is your first time doing something with us. What was your experience like from the prep through to the meetings themselves?
Yeah, the experience has been phenomenal. So we were given an account rep that basically came alongside us right from the beginning, stayed very close in contact with us, made sure that we had all of our audio set up properly, did test calls with us, worked us through the platform, through the program. even we had some audio issues, internet issues in the first call, so scheduled another call to make sure that we got it right. So yeah, handheld through the whole process. It was very professional. The platform itself, I was talking. There's a meeting that you do after the session where you kind of ECRM group gets feedback on how was the platform, how did the program go, and I had no complaints whatsoever about the platform. I thought that it ran very smooth. It's very professional.
Excellent. And which did you use all the features on it, like the notes and the rankings and all of that?
Yeah, this was actually our second ECRM conference that we did. We did one for front end check lane solutions as well a little bit earlier in the year. We didn't use the notes and stuff on that session, and in the first one, definitely learned our lesson on that because we're sitting there like taking notes on our notepad as we're going through the meeting. But it was way easier, this time around to just use the note capability that was provided in the platform. So yeah, this time around we definitely took advantage of all of that.
Oh, good, because it's all stored in the system. It's stored in your profile. So afterwards, from when you do your follow-ups, all the notes are there.
Because the meetings they're happening fast, right? And you might think to yourself like, I'm going to remember this meeting with this client. Like they're a big logo. It's really vitally important to me. But like all of a sudden, like 20 meetings later, you're like, did they want samples yet? Like when did they say follow up? Right. So it's definitely important to take notes as you're and taking advantage of that function.
Yep. And the thing is, we're big believers in, you can't just create the technology and throw it at people and leave them on their own. There's the people component is so important. And that's why we do all of the prep work with you beforehand, because everyone's got different technology. Everyone's got different Wi-Fi. Everyone's got different audio. So we want to make sure before you start doing your meetings that you have all of that squared away so that once you jump in, you're good to go.
Yeah.
So now the meetings themselves, and the impulse and check lane, that was earlier this year, and the merchandising solutions you just had a little bit different people you were meeting with, right? The merchandising solution more of the actual facilities or people responsible for the structures.
Correct. Yeah, the first show that we did, and it was late January. The front end solutions. We were exploring. We weren't too certain about if primarily our product's a B2B solution meant to be provided as a FreeStylus, as a giveaway for the public, a convenience play for them. So that moment of hesitation that they have when they about to touch a reader. You hear stories about it every day. They're like, I don't really want to touch that. So that was my original vision, but we also did want to explore if there was a path for consumer packs and having that be like an impulse type item at checkout, where you could have a sleeve of styluses that you could maybe put in your jacket pocket, put in your purse. So that we participated in that one late January for that as well.
Yeah, it's an interesting angle to look at it as a consumer purchase as well.
Yeah.
So what down the road? So now you're just looking or just starting to dip into retail. Down the road, where do you see this expanding into? Do you see more other avenues outside of retail and food service too?
Like I said, yeah. I mean, my primary verticals where I think that this makes the most sense right from the get-go when at inception in May of last year was I'm thinking convenience stores for sure. Down here in Pennsylvania, we're pretty wild about our convenience stores. We love our Wawa and we love our Sheets, and that type of environment. I'm going and I'm ordering on that on the touchscreen to order my hoagie or order my my sandwich. Most people are like me. They're ordering that, they're taking it to their car, and they're just like woofing it down as fast as they could, like in their driver's seat, right before they go and go do what they got to do. And having the stylus there as a convenience play, so people are having a sanitary experience on those touchscreens. You got droves of people coming in there and interacting with those same screens. That's an area where, to me, I think that just makes a ton of sense. I think grocery makes a ton of sense. Yes, for the front end checkout, but also most of these grocery stores have in-store pharmacy as well. And that's, again, going back to the healthcare angle where we're seeing a lot of success. You got, folks that are immunocompromised coming in there to get their prescriptions. Having it be there at the counter where I'm going to go pick up my prescription just makes a whole lot of sense. So there's a lot of areas where we're focusing, but yeah, definitely convenience stores, definitely grocery. But then outside of that, I would like to see some growth in the casino space. I would like to see some growth in continued growth in healthcare and in the airports. Those are what I would call like my 4 or 5 top verticals.
Yep. So a lot of potential areas of expansion because there are a lot of places. Everything's getting so much more automated, which means we are going to be touching things.
Exactly. And I left one out too. I would say restaurants as well. I think what we might see in talking with some of my friends over at Ziosk, I think that we might see a push towards tabletop ordering the tablets, right?
Yep.
Because now that we're kind of starting to open up the restaurants a little bit more, hopefully, for good this time. I think that there's a recognition that it's more sanitary to have a tablet there than to have a wait staff come over and breathe and everything over your table and over your food. So I think you might see a push more towards a digital ordering process there as well, and so that's why we even signed up for the food service ECRM show later this month as well.
Well, I see that by me. One, you're ordering. You may not place your order, using a touch screen in the restaurants, but when you're paying, they're bringing this started happening a lot during COVID. They're bringing the point of sale system to you. They have a mobile version, and you're using your fingers. So, and I see that across the board at every restaurant that I've been to. It's always they're bringing something to you that's digital now.
And that's coming no matter what, COVID or no COVID. Payments nerd side of me. The interchange rate for restaurants to have a card not present transaction where they take your card and go back a house and use it without you there, they're getting dinged on the fees there. So that's why you're seeing pay at table becoming more common because it's necessary now that we've moved towards the chip on the card. To be able to have the person be present, so you can get a lower interchange rate. So you're going to see the pay at table being implemented across the board here in just a few years, probably.
Yep, and that means that our signatures are going to get neater on these. I know every restaurant. When I go to the bagel shop, you just kind of scribble a scribbled line on there, so nobody's signatures actually look like the actual signatures that we would do in print.
No, not in the U.S. You can't get away with that over in Europe. They do signature verification over there, but not here.
Really? Oh, so then this would be really important in Europe too, because it's really hard to match your real signature with your fingertip.
It is, yeah.
Cool. Excellent. Well, again, thank you for joining us for both of those sessions. And I look forward to, keeping in touch and seeing how this progresses over the months and which areas you end up entering into.
All right. Appreciate it, Joe.
All right. Thanks a lot.
Have a good one.